How I Helped the Blind Man See. The mind's eye is powerful. The story I'm about to tell you is true. Last Thursday, I was in Missouri during the Internet's marketing seminar for a group of about 300 people. It was a tough room because the room itself was narrow, which meant that the rows of seats stretched so far back it was difficult for people to read what was projected on the screen. In fact, so poor was the visibility that some people began to complain during the breaks. I tried my best to assuage their concerns by telling them that I would repeat out loud what was on the screen, so all they had to do was listen and write down the information. Also in the back were a few folks who couldn't make it to the front of the room because they were in wheelchairs. Again, the room had a poor setup. One gentleman in particular was blind and sat in the back in his wheelchair with his seeing eye dog laying alongside him. I knew he was listening attentively because he had his head cocked, aligning his left ear in the direction of the speaker. As I walked around the room, as I usually do, I also noticed he had an intense look of concentration on his face, as though he was hanging on my every word. It was a long day, and this blind gentleman hung in there all the way. As the seminar progressed, although, I could tell that people in the back rows were leaving. Again, I did my best to read out loud what was projected on the screen, but to no avail. Throughout the day, there was a steady stream of people leaving from the back rows. At the end of the day, the only guy left in the last few rows towards the back was the blind guy who had parked his wheelchair and his C9 dog still laying there right next to his master. At the end of the day, I went to the back of the room to speak with the audience members and answer questions on any products for sale that we had that day. After going through a long line of people, the gentleman in the wheelchair, his name was John, called my name. He said, "Hey, Victor, can I speak with you?" "Absolutely. How can I help you?" I responded. "Well, I want to thank you for a great seminar and I'd like to speak to someone." "John, I could answer any questions you might have," I shot back. "Well, I don't have any questions. I just want to get started," he answered. Now let me stop here for a moment because I need to share with you the flood of thoughts that rushed in my mind at that very moment. What did he say? He wants to get started? On the internet? He's blind. Maybe he's joking with me. He can't mean what I think he means. After quickly regaining my mental composure, I repeated, "You want to get started online, John?" He then extended his arm in my direction to shake my hand. As he shook my hand gently, he said, "Yes, Victor, because I can see it. I can see how this works. I get it." Now, the irony of the moment did not escape me. But without missing a beat, I called one of the assistants over and asked him if he would please assist John, who I said is interested in getting started on the online business. I told John that if he had any questions that I'd be around to answer them for a while, and I'd be happy to help him in any way possible. As John strolled off in his wheelchair, being led by his seeing eye dog, he went past the rows of abandoned seats in the back of the room. That's when the irony of the moment really hit me. Those who left early who could see complained what they couldn't see, yet the blind man who couldn't see saw clearly what others couldn't see. The folks in the back were focused on seeing what was on the screen instead of focusing in on the content. John depended on his hearing and an often ignored sense, his mind's eye, to see what others couldn't see because they were too preoccupied with the small print. Which firmly begs the question, who was really blind that day? Him or the folks who complained and left? As for me, I'll never forget the day I helped a blind man see. As a professional speaker and trainer, beyond the money and the glory, it's moments like this I treasure the most. So to my newfound inspiration, John, I salute you and wish you the best. As Humphrey Bogart would say, here's looking at you, kid. Oh, P.S. When John stated he wanted to get started on the internet, my immediate reaction was, "But you're blind." He right there made me acutely aware of my own handicap. I now know that just because a person has a visual impairment, it doesn't mean that they have a vision impairment. Lesson learned, lesson earned. Thank you.